So we're doing a shoot today with the IT32 and the X5 and the X3 Pro. I remember I have the Canon version of this, so I can't do this in TTL with this, but I'm going to do it in TTL with the X3 or the X3 Pro. Probably the X3 Pro because I like that one. It has bigger screen. But we will do this in manual and see how it works out. I love this flash, but there are some things I need to go over. First thing, firmware update. You need to do the firmware update if you're not at 1.10. The firmware update makes this more reliable. Sometimes it disconnects when it's off. Do the firmware update. It'll almost solve that, because I did still have a disconnect one time. If it disconnects for any reason whatsoever, it stops, you just put it back on here. It'll restart it. Now, I may have been paused long enough for this to shut off. I don't know. But as soon as I put it back on here and took it immediately back on, it just started working again. There was no issues with it. So that's the first thing. The second thing, when you're turning this on, now this may just be just with my unit, but sometimes it will not go. So I had to go down and then back up. Sometimes it's just smooth when I'm going up. If I go down and back up again in one long swoop, it'll turn on. So that's a quirky thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just my unit or it's other units, but that's the workaround for that. I hope they fix that in a firmware update. 90% of the time it works, but when it doesn't, just remember to go down a little bit. You'll hear the clicks and then one full swoop up. You can't stop in the middle of that turn, otherwise it won't turn on. TCM, because I know a lot of you guys use TCM. This unit will work in TCM when it's connected to the transmitter on your camera. It will not work when it's off. Remember, this is a tiny little transmitter. It doesn't do much. The only thing this can do is make this flash go. It can work in TTL, and you would adjust the power of the plus or minus buttons on here. That's it. This will not fire other flashes in the Godox system unless this is connected. Not on here, but as part of it. This is what's telling the other flashes what to do, because this is the only way you can control it. You can't control power with this other than one flash, or if two flashes like this are on the same group. So in other words, if I'm in TTL and I'm on a group on this one and a group on another one, I can use the plus and minus and they'll both go down and up. Otherwise, it won't work. If you want to use multiple flashes, put it in manual mode, adjust it right on the unit itself, not on here. So I'm going to go over to this unit, adjust the power on this one, say this one's A, and I set another one to B, and then I take that down plus or minus. This will still fire both of them. Okay? Just want to go over this stuff so you know. Don't expect miracles of this little thing and say, oh, I don't like it because it doesn't do this, this, or this. This is a remote for this flash. This makes this kind of shooting convenient and fun. Now, I took it a step further today after I show you how this works, and it works pretty well. Pulled out the X3 Pro. I use the Pro because I like the bigger screen. I like the X3, don't get me wrong, but I love this one. It's just so reliable. I like the size of it, and I can see it more on it. But I pulled this out, and I put this on a stand. I shot it, directly without anything but the flash itself. I used, by the way, that Godox. I love this thing. I just think it's great. And it has the 1/4 20. So this is what I used. And I used this arm because I later put an umbrella and I wanted to shoot underneath it. That's why this arm is so essential. And I like Godox. These things are really nice. They're tilt things. And because it has the 1/4 20. And you can also get the cold shoe for this if you want to use a different flash with the hot shoe. Anyway, so I put it on the stand, put an umbrella on it. So you're going to see that. Of course, I took this off for the umbrella. I also did a reverse with the umbrella with a reflector. I backlit from the backside and into the reflector. And I also used the reflector straight with just this going into reflector. I really just wanted to try this. Now, while I was doing that, I used that all in TTL mode because I really wanted to trick this thing. It wasn't tricked. So remember, this is one unit, okay? Although this can control multiple flash systems, okay? When this is connected to this, I can control other flashes with this, okay? But this alone, with this off, can't control other flashes. It has to be connected to this first. But even if I'm connected to this and this is off camera, I can still control the other flashes on this flash. So I can have an A, B, and a C and control them from here. But I can't control them with this alone. So firmware up to TCM. I went over TCM, right? Yeah. I'm making sure I got everything because I don't want to forget anything. So first thing to do is get that firmware update. Next thing is don't try to overchore this. It's just a transmitter and a plus and minus for your power. It doesn't control multiple units on this unit. That's done on here. This is fantastic as a unit. If you're just starting out or say, hey, I just want one flash, I want to be able to take it off camera, this is fantastic. But then later you can add the X3 or X3 Pro and then use this as a system flash, which is fantastic. Like this, just like the X200, the X100, when it's without this and it's just this flash, you can do everything you do with those with this flash. And you're going to see that in this shoot. Anyway, I just wanted to go over this. The power was great. Battery power, it was fantastic. Maybe I'm 1 bar down, but I don't know how many bars there are. I can't see, I'm old. Anyway, it worked fantastic. We shot for a good hour and 20 minutes. And like I said, I was on 1/8 power, was on manual 1/4 power, and then I was on TTL for the rest of the time, and there was no issues. It just worked great. But let's get into the shoot so you can see what this thing did, how well it did. But I wanted to go over those little things with you to, make sure if you had any questions. But again, don't overthink this little remote. It's a transmitter. It can't do all the things something like this can do, or the IT30 can do. The IT30 is a complete remote system with a flash on it. This is a complete remote system, connect or disconnected, but these are together. But this alone is just a transmitter. Anyway, go to the link, update your firmware. It's not hard. By the way, when you update your firmware, this is, confusing for some people. So you go into your menu system. I want to show you this. I hope I can show you this without confusing you. When you go into your menu system, it's the icons that you guys are used to. You slide all the way over to the last one, which is the system one. I pushed the wrong one. Okay, so that icon there. And when you pull this up and this is plugged into the computer, it's going to say update at the bottom. You just click update and then it'll make the connection with the computer. Otherwise, the program or whatever it is that Godox has won't recognize this until you click that update when you're in this screen. And you want to remember, you want to upgrade to 1.10. So if you're below that, you need to update the firmware and fix a few of the issues. But I'm pretty sure they're going to have more firmware updates coming just to address other things that may be quirky with it. Thanks for watching as always. Let's get to the shoot and see how we did.
Well, since it's a Speedlite, I almost feel obligated to find some dark hole in the building somewhere to shoot it. I'm shooting in handheld, just holding it off to the side. You can see the shadow on the right there. And this is in manual mode, so, no big surprise here. It works. But I'm going to switch over to that X3 Pro pretty quickly and try it in TTL because I'm dying. This is actually the very first time I'm shooting someone with this flash. So I was excited to try this and definitely wanted to film this for you guys. So this is it with TTL, and it works great. I mean, there's nothing more I could say. Again, the reason I'm not using TTL with the X5 remote is because I have the Canon version. That's all they had. So I used that in manual. Then I switched over to that X3 Pro to do it into TTL. Now, I wanted to get into the studio because I really want to try this as this, off-camera flash on a stand, and I'm switching over to TTL Direct. So everything that you're gonna see from here on out is going to be in TTL. Now you can see the shadow there. Remember, all you have to do is move her up just a little bit from the backdrop, which I did, and that shadow will go away. I don't mind shadows. I actually enjoy shadows, but I want to show you how easy it is to get rid of the shadow. Now I'm just using that one IT32 and a reflector on her right side. That's it. This is that whole lighting setup. Now I'm going to add the umbrella. I'm using the Manfrotto small deep umbrella. Guys, buy the Godox one. You'll save, a couple $100, and it's the same thing. I know people will tell you, oh, it's color and all that. It's bullshit. they all work the same. So why spend $200-300 for a Godox or a Manfrotto umbrella when you can get a Godox one for $20-30, whatever it is. Anyway, this is a gorgeous lighting setup. Now, as far as my settings are concerned, because everybody always asks me, even if I tell you, you still ask me in the comments. The camera's set to ISO 100. I'm at f2.8, and I'm at 1/200th of a second. Okay, so after the umbrella, I'm adding that arm on because I wanted to shoot underneath this umbrella. And this This is so convenient. I love that little arm. It's the 8-inch arm by Westcott, but it comes in so handy. I'm using it all the time now. And this little setup here for a beauty shot is fantastic. Here it is without the flash. I just wanted to show you one without the flash so you can see it. You see a little bit of the LED coming over the umbrella there at the top, but it's pretty much dark. So all the light is coming from this little IT32. What an amazing little light. Now, everybody's asking me, what is the watt seconds versus the IT30? I don't know. I haven't looked it up. Everybody's is different. Everybody rates theirs differently. And from one flash to another, depending on the reflector inside, by the tube, it changes it anyway. So I never pay attention to that. The only thing I pay attention to is it's pretty close to the IT30. It's working great in the umbrella. What else do I care about? I don't care if it's working. If it's giving me good light, I'm happy. Oh, by the way, I use that little handheld pocket fan. I'm using that all the time. Remember that has a 1/4 20 on the bottom too, so you can set that on a stand and use it. I just love it. I use it for so many shoots, but I don't feature it on this channel all the time. Anyway, so this is working great in TTL. I had no issues with this whatsoever, but I really want to try to trick this. And it's hard to trick some of the flashes today because they really are pretty good. The older ones, even the older Godox ones sucked in TTL. They were just terrible. But this one's actually doing really well. So I'm going to throw this light behind her coming up. I want to see if I can, trick it with like a backlight. And I do this quite a bit with a reflector because, if you only have one light and you really want some hair light and some definition, this is a great way to do it. Now I'm going to use the silver side of that reflector because I want more light into her face. And I'm just pushing that light from the back to the front, and then the reflector will fill in the face. But it's a nice look. It looks like it's a 2-light setup. And obvious, it's only the one light. But, play with this, and you do have to move it once in a while. Like, I can come pretty close to where it's supposed to be, but sometimes, I'll have to move it 2 or 3 times to get that perfect look. Now, I like that look, but I was getting some, fall off on the backdrop because of the umbrella, obviously. So I'm just going to use the bare bulb flash now. I'm going to put the diffuser on it, and I'm going to use this instead. I don't mind the highlights. Like you'll see a highlight on her nose, or sometimes you'll get it on their cheek. I don't mind this. I think it looks natural. So this does not bother me one bit, and I love this type of look. So, literally you just need one flash and a reflector. Now, if I just turned her head a little bit to our left, that hot spot on her nose would have went right away. But I didn't, because I like that kind of look. I like a natural look like you would get from the sun or something. Anyway, now I'm using the reflector just to bounce it directly into it and, do the shots this way. It's just like a big softbox. So my final thoughts on the system as an IT32 X5 combination. It's fantastic for off-camera, on-camera flash. But I love that they took the IT32 and made it a system flash, a full-featured system flash that you can use with your X3, X3 Pro, IT30, and use it alongside, an 8600 or a V100. It is a great system flash and has all the features that you would want on a system flash. I love what they did with this. And I think it's going to be in a lot of photographers' bags in the future, because I can see myself using this as a main flash like this, or as, accent lighting or hair lighting, and so forth. It just works. And they did a great job with it. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. If you have any questions, leave them below. Thanks for watching as always.